It stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I will call this regular Board of Moffett County Commissioners meeting to order on Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. And Chair would move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
And Chair would move to approve the consent agenda, items A through I as presented. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess we do, don't we? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Chair would move to approve the consent agenda, items A through I.
G.
Oh, you have an updated one then. A through G.
Second.
Okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. And we'll move into public comment. So if anybody has anything to share with the board, this is your time to come up and speak. You'll have 3 minutes. Please state your name and share with us what you wish to share. Good morning.
Is this on?
Yep.
It is.
With your permission, Commissioners, I have a few comments, but before I make mine, Carol Haskins could not be here this morning, so she wrote a letter and asked me to read it, if that's permissible. Okay. I'm Tracy Winder. I'm a resident of Moffett County. And this is from Carol Haskins, also a resident of Moffett County. Good morning, Tony, Melody, and Donald. I apologize for not being there in person this morning. I imagine you were hoping we had forgotten or given up on our pursuit to do away with the electronic voting machines. However, as more and more evidence arises exposing their vulnerabilities for fraud, here we are. I see on your agenda today, unless it has changed, that Stacy and Heidi will be presenting a bid recommendation for an elections vendor. As I write this, since there is no agenda packet available, I do not know what this request might entail. I do not know if you're aware or informed about the executive order President Trump signed in March, preserving and protecting the integrity of American elections, but after reviewing it, I see several places where Moffett County, along with its administrators, could be in non-compliance at the federal level. One main point I want to emphasize is in Section 4. It states, quote, voting systems should not use a ballot in which a vote is contained with a barcode or quick response code in the vote counting process, except where necessary to accommodate individuals with disabilities, and should provide a voter verifiable paper record to prevent fraud or mistake, end quote. Any type of bar or QR code is capable of carrying information that could potentially affect how that ballot's specific votes are tabulated. Also in Section 4, it states that all systems must be certified under the new standards set forth in this order, and all previous certifications are to be rescinded. As I understand it, funding may rest on compliance. Election day is also defined by statute as 1 day. Ballots must be both cast by voters and received by state officials in 1 day. So as I study this, questions arise in my mind. Can Moffett County prove without a doubt that our elections are in compliance with this order? Have our systems been analyzed by an outside source for security and fraud prevention? Can we attest to the security of our systems to the extent that they are integrated into the internet, allowing for compromise through malicious software and other intrusions into the system? Personally, I would be very wary of entering into any contracts that might jeopardize our county or voters. Just food for thought. Thank you, Carol Haskins. Okay, so here's my little letter. I'll try to talk fast. As a follow-up to Carol's comments, the presidential executive order she is referring to sets forth a number of directives to the heads of various departments and agencies. Some of these directives are to be completed 30 to 90 days from the executive order. That's about 2 weeks from now. Therefore, it is my hope that those critical federal election rules and regulations that would restore some validity in our elections, those same guidelines that officials of the state of Colorado refuse to comply with, may suddenly be federally enforced one way or another. Any contracts the county makes now with a vendor regarding election goods or services could be greatly impacted by these potential developments. As to Carol's mention of barcodes on ballots that were spoken about in the executive order, I could not agree with her more, specifically that there should not be any codes whatsoever on any ballots. If I've learned anything in the 4+ years, it's that programming can be encrypted in anything, even simple text, and we must simplify the process in order to make it trustworthy. And look at the mess those barcodes caused us in 2024. As has been pointed out to you before, none of the electronic election machines or systems in Colorado are legal under the critical infrastructure designation in the USA, because a substantial percentage of every system is made from foreign parts, made overseas, or has programming originating from foreign countries, etc. The bottom line is that nothing we are currently using today is legal under current law. Section 6 of the executive order, which is improving security of voting systems, stipulates that all electronic voting machines and systems in the USA are to be reviewed by Homeland Security as to their security issues and a risk report generated. I say, about time. We've seen enough evidence of manipulation to satisfy any legitimate jury or judge. If Kristi Noem is still Secretary of Homeland Security, we know what the report will say. Therefore, with any luck, the election machines we have today may be outlawed before the next federal election. Any long-term agreements or contracts should be carefully considered. Our local group has pointed out to you in the past that according to both Douglas Frank and Judicial Watch, Moffat County has an improbable percentage of nearly 100% of eligible voters actually being registered to vote. So who are these phantom voters on our county voter rolls? Until maintenance of registered voter lists is returned from the state back to the counties, cleaning up our voter rolls is nearly impossible. But since it is against federal law for foreign nationals to vote in federal elections, it's absolutely essential that the citizenship of all voters in this county be verified before ordering ballots, let alone mailing any ballots out. Section 2 of this executive order now ensures that state and local officials have free access to systems for verifying citizenship or immigration status of individuals. Has Moffat County done any work in this area? Do they plan to? These are just some of my thoughts and concerns. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Tracy.
Okay, my name is John Williams. I'm a resident of Moffat County. Good morning, folks. You have heard the letter from Carol Haskins read by Tracy. We have been here before and you know our feelings in regards to electronic computerized election equipment. None of us have changed our mind. In fact, with the current climate and the things coming out, we feel it is more important today. The DOJ is getting involved in holding states, entities responsible for proper management of election systems and voter rolls. They are looking a lot closer than the lax, negligent involvement of the last administration. As you have heard, there have been new EOs and laws put in place. Moffat County must be in compliance with this. Can we be 100% certain that is the case when we are depending on the words of others? What is a Dominion qualification letter? That's what comes from the agenda, whatever that is. Since there have been many questions about Dominion's qualifications themselves. Some states have been dumping some of the election vendors. Things are not as well as all would have you believe. It would not be a good thing to be tied to a long-term contract with a vendor that may wind up being shut down. In all honesty, as we have presented before, all computerized voting equipment is subject to manipulation. They simply cannot be made safe. Does it not seem strange to be pushing for a ban on the TikTok platform and some mobile systems because there is a very real probability of Chinese spying, and then say, voting systems with Chinese manufactured parts that cannot be made safe are all safe and good? The ability to manipulate elections is worth trillions. Think about it. There is strong evidence of the CCP involvement in some of our elections. There is strong evidence of other foreign countries' involvement as well. That should be no surprise, since under the Obama administration, we did the same thing to what is perceived as an ally. Any foreign involvement, regardless of how much, is not acceptable. Part of what will be presented today is the request for almost 10,000 mail-in type ballot, regardless of how they are stamped, either from Moffat County or from the vendor. From day one of the process, those ballots are out of control of our clerk. Mail-in ballots are probably one of the largest sources of fraud in our election, and Colorado is one of the largest pushers of this. All in the name of convenience. Until such time as we return to one-day voting, precinct level, paper ballots, and hand counting, our elections will never be secure. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, commissioners.
You could do it. How are you?
I'm Karen Stillion, and I'm here on behalf of CASA, which is Northwest Rocky Mountain Court-Appointed Special Advocates. We work closely with your department on advocating for children that have been removed from their home for neglect or abuse. So I'm here today to invite you. We're doing a legislative dinner, and we're holding it differently this year. Typically, we go to CASA at the Capitol, and this year we're having the Capitol come to us. And so Representatives Lukens, Senator Dylan Roberts, and Representative McCluskey, she cannot make it, will be in attendance. And so we're extending the invitation to our 3 county commissioners, and Judge Schneider will also be invited. I'll be your Moffat contact person because I'm your Moffat representative, myself and Nate Hayes. Anyway, so we have an invitation for each of you. It's July 26th. It's a Saturday. It's at one of our board members' homes up on Buff Pass. It will be a small little gathering, less than 30 people. Any questions? No? So I personally hope one of you will choose to come. I would love to have all 3 of you, but we have a lesser presence sometimes, and we actually have more children that we advocate for in Moffat County than the other districts.
Yeah.
So I would really love to have at least one of you come. So like you say, my contact's on there. You can get it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
So my name is Alicia Brown. I've lived here for over 17 years now. My husband's lived here his whole life. We own Advanced Plumbing, and I'm a former teacher here of 8 years prior to being a stay-at-home mom. So as you know from my letter, we are building our forever home on East 9th Street and are about 75% complete when we were told that a cell tower will be going up roughly 600 feet from our house. We had received the hearing notice. We hadn't received the hearing notice at our current residence. So if I had, we would have absolutely have come to that hearing so we could voice our opposition to it. So I am here now. I'm here asking for the location of the tower to be relocated. We have 3 young kids that should not live this close to a tower, where they're going to be, sledding down our front hill and playing out front, basically adjacent to this tower. And we absolutely love the views we have. We have great views of the entire town front and the Yampa River and everything. That's why we picked at the top of the hill on our property to build right there. And it will be completely obscured with this 100-foot tall tower. And then, what that might do to our property value, the impact on it. But I just want to ask, would you want to live this close to a 100-foot metal cell tower, basically in your front yard? And would you want your kids playing this close to it and, have that as your view? We're putting everything into this house and, we want it to be, in a trust for our kids. And we just don't want this to be right there in our front. So I know you are waiting for the response from Union that I sent on May 15th, addressing some of my concerns. I just plead with you to find a way to halt Union from putting a tower at this specific site and find a more suitable location. I'll do whatever I can. I just ask for support from this board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Susan Robertson. I'm also a resident of Moffett County. I bought my first house here in 2014 while I was still in Germany. And then in 2024, I was diagnosed with lung cancer and so retired from the Pentagon OSD staff and came here, of course, to be with my grandchildren because that's just the most important thing. I was up at Alicia's land and I was looking down at the road, 9th Street, and I went, Alicia, I need one of those houses to go for sale because you just want to be as close as you can get to those grandbabies, right? Got a text from Dorena Fredrickson the very next day saying, the house across from where Alicia's building is for sale. I bought it immediately. I put it under contract. I didn't get a letter. I mean, that was like April the 17th that I put it under contract and I closed on June the 1st. And I didn't get a letter about the tower because I would have absolutely have been here as well. But I more so am here for Alicia and my grandbabies because I drug her all over the world with me as Department of Defense. She settled here, married one of your hometown boys, and has been a huge contributing member to this community. And they have saved and scrimped and are built and run a business. And I tell you what, Caleb works 15 hours a day. They're building their dream home. And it's their forever home. And we just need this tower to not be located in proximity to the kids or to their health. I mean, there's just not enough out there. I think that many places are moving away from putting it next to schools and childcare centers and senior homes. And this is just very concerning for me. So I truly appreciate your support and for you, communicating with Union to get responses to some of the concerns. We are here to do whatever we can to support you in helping us get that tower resited somewhere safer. Whatever you need. So thank you. For your time. I appreciate it. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Anyone else for public comment? Good morning.
Thanks, sir.
Good morning, commissioners. So just wanted to stop by this morning and share with you about the Craig Sports Complex. So we'll be having community engagement sessions June 23rd and 24th at 6 to 8 p.m. At the Center of Craig, Monday, June 23rd, and then June 24th in the morning at Prodigal, and then go into stakeholder meetings later on the day on Tuesday at the Center of Craig, and then wrap it up at City Council. So the Craig Sports Complex comes on the heels of really the Aquatic Center. So in 2022, the city, we did a aquatic feasibility study at the complex, and it really just a really in-depth study of the current conditions, programming, things like that. And what that study came back with was, a couple of things on performer could Craig, with existing conditions, future market conditions, have the ability to have a indoor swimming complex. And that was a positive. It could sustain that. But not only that was what the study told as far as the current conditions, over $2 million in the infrastructure just to get the facility up to standard. So the wave pool's coming on this year, its 40th anniversary, and then the lap pool is 50 years old. So, you know, in time, this is just as, you know, on the heels of, you know, what are we going to do for, you know, the aquatics recreation? And then built into that too is, you know, with this complex is such a need, what we hear on gymnasiums, use, things like that. So the potential to, you know, indoor aquatic center with 2 gymnasiums, you know, to really to alleviate that strain of what's going on in our community for some time, for a while now. You know, tournaments coming in here, parents not having to travel all the time. So really on the, you know, to look at those recreation needs and the you know, the positive that could bring to our community. So really just wanted to update you. Hope you can make one of those sessions. Would love to have you guys and just really be as we go through this process, make you guys a part of that. So do you guys have any questions?
No, I don't. Appreciate it. This will be good.
You betcha.
Do you have the overlay of that posted somewhere online for folks to look at?
Yeah, we do. So that's on the city website, is more information on there. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay. General discussion?
I do have one thing. I spent all last week at CCI summer conference, and one of the things that was brought up there, and I think I sent an email out to the commissioners of trying to figure out how we can track this as well. But Mesa County somehow came out with a deal where they started tracking unfunded mandates from the state. And so they started putting in how much it's costing the county in Mesa County to keep up with these unfunded mandates. And they've come up with it's costing them $7 million a year to keep up with unfunded mandates. I mean, that is a ton of money, more than no matter what county you're in, for $7 million. And so I asked them to send me their information so that we could kind of go through and give it to our finance department to see what it's costing the county and somehow figure out how they're trying to get a coalition together type of thing of saying, we can't afford this, right? All these unfunded mandates, we can't afford. No county can afford it. So I just bring that up to know that here in the next few months, we're going to be looking at that to try to figure out what the county's unfunded mandates cost is. And it's not going to be 7 million, obviously, because we're way smaller, but $1 million to us is like probably $7 million to Mesa County. So if it is that point, so just thought it was very interesting. It was probably something that I got from that meeting that I just was like, man, until you know, it's 20,000 here and 80,000 here and 100,000 there. And then all of a sudden it adds up and you're at 7 million. That's a crazy amount. So I'll keep you posted on what we find on that.
Yeah, I know we've been invited to participate in a meeting with Mesa County and other counties as well. I believe we'll be doing that at the end of the week.
Yep.
You have anything? No. Okay. I will just say, typically a public comment, like I stated, that's an opportunity for the public to speak to us. We don't necessarily engage, but we do take the opportunity during general discussion if we can answer any questions. And we have not heard back from Union on that, but we can set a time to sit down and discuss with you when we've gotten something back from Union. So we'll have Aaron reach out when we've got something back on that. And then the other thing I have is we've rolled through the last couple meetings and I have not stated on the employee anniversaries. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of our anniversaries. Tim Dildine has been with us for 41 years in April. Chip McIntyre, 11 years. Mary Burnett, I believe, was also 11. Ashley Joyce was 5 years in May, and in June, we have Dale Clark at 38 years, Deb Winder at 29. Mike Mercer's been on our Wildland Fire for 19. Kristen Grajeda at our DHS has been with us for 18. Tara Wakowitz, did I say that last name right? Pretty close. 17 years, and Teresa Gray in our assessors or treasurer's office for 13 years. So I just wanted to share some of those anniversaries. Do appreciate those guys being part of the team at Moffett County that makes it what it is. So with that, I will move into staff reports, clerk and recorder's office, and elections. Stacy Morgan and Heidi Rogers. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we're here today. Heidi's going to present some vendors that have given us bids. Our contract with Fort Orange Press ended on December of 24, and they are our print vendor for the ballots. And so I'll give it to Heidi, and she's going to present those bids for us.
Okay, like I said, we're here to discuss the bid recommendations. So we had Blue Crest, Pro Vote Solutions, KP Election Services. Blue Crest, after reviewing the processes that they have, they cannot provide the services that we would utilize or need at this time. Theirs is mostly software and equipment. They do have pieces of the things we would use, but just a piece here and a piece there. So they would not provide what we need. So I do not recommend them. ProVote Solutions, their proposed bid was $1.95 per packet. And I put with a 10,000 vote by mail minimum. And as of June 5th, our active inactive count was 9,856. Now, granted, those counts are going to go up and down every day. We got people moving in, we got people moving out, we got things going on. So the estimated cost after you looked at their pre-marked test decks, ballot length, 2 types of ballots with 13 precincts, I just did just that basic minimum, and that was $19,399.20. I've had nothing but positive remarks for ProVote, but at this time I do not recommend them. So what I want to move to is KP Election Services. I would like to utilize them for the 2025 coordinated election, and if things go well, we can take it from there. They are privately owned. They're an LLC company. They have 6 facilities in 4 states: Utah, California, Washington, and Texas. They focus on the smaller counties to expand their business, but also stay competitive. They sent me a list of counties that utilize their services. And I talked with Peggy Miller, and she's Custer County. And she said they were super efficient. They were right on. They also do municipal elections. So I talked with Julie Franklin, who's the city clerk of Steamboat, and she was very, very pleased, along with Summit County and Montrose counties. They were all very pleased with them. KP also has Dominion qualification letters from Dominion, which means that their Q&A process will be met. They have to use that. So we hopefully will not have any issues with the quality assurance process. So KP's price proposal was 9,700 active, inactive voters when I sent in this proposal. As of June 5th, 2025, our voter count did increase. So I've adjusted the estimated costs to 10,000, which added $180, which brings that to $17,887. Now we'll have to have a supplemental inventory for the specific requirements that this election will require, and postage is going to go up July of 2025. So that will actually add to that cost. And unfortunately, unforeseen circumstances can rapidly increase our election costs, as we know. But I believe that they had quoted us a reasonable price, including the services required that we will need for the November 4th, 2025 election. Thank you.
Have you guys researched how that executive order will impact what you're doing in elections?
Yes, but we still have to have a vendor, so they seem to be our best option for where we are, our location, and what they can do for us.
And those would be printed ballots, not necessarily just mailed ballots. Correct.
They'll be printed mail ballots, so. And we will have in-house inventory as well, so.
Any other questions?
Well, I haven't seen the executive order, but is the executive order still mandating you have a vendor? Or is the executive order stating that he's wanting to go away from vendors?
Wanting to go away from the mail ballot, but until, we have further
That's gonna
review,
take
and
some
it's gonna take
time.
time. Yeah, he can
It
say
won't be
that
done
now.
by the November 25 election.
Yeah, he can say that now. I just have to get something documented for a vendor because
Yeah, because we're starting to
we're,
build
Mhm.
the ballots, so we have to have a print vendor at this time.
And even if you went away from mail and electronic, you still have to have something for them to vote on.
Correct.
To have some a paper
And-
ballot of some
Mhm.
sort.
That's the thing with the Blue Crest is they do have the software to do pieces of that, even if you still have to have them printed. You still have to have specific guidelines for exactly how they look and how they are. We are just not set up for that system. We're just not. We don't have the space for the machines. We don't have the space for the software.
But Moffat County will be in compliance with
Yes.
everything the executive order states
Mhm.
and is as far as right
Yeah,
now.
we are.
We
Yeah.
are.
Any other questions?
I mean, I think everybody knows that I trust Jenna Griswold's about as far as I could throw that car out there, right? And so I think we all know that, publicly and any other thing that she's not on our side. And I can promise that. And so every place that we can be cautious but I think it was proven last year, we hand counted everything. And, the only issue we had was a certain individual that tries to cause problems that was local. And so, I mean, everything else went smooth. So
Right.
we did our job last year. And so, yep.
I think that-
It's hot and checks and balances. So
Yeah.
And they did amazing. The staff, the
It was
public,
yeah,
it was incredible what they did.
a huge task
Mhm.
that got thrown upon us, and the citizens of Moffat County stepped up and helped, and it turned out amazing. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of gratification after it was all done too. So,
yeah, I was glad we had a couple extra rooms in the building.
yeah, we kind of, just took over the whole courthouse.
building.
It's like, I'm sorry, you guys, Aaron, we need everybody out. So anyway, we appreciate you considering this, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve KP's price or contract with KP. What else is it called? Just KP? KP Elections, in the amount of $17,887. Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have Land Use Board, Steve Hinkemeyer. Request an adoption to updated land use plan. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Steve Hinkmeyer. I'm chairman of the Land Use Board. Last year when you guys were adopting the no net loss policy, Melody, who's the ex officio, asked, how long's it been since we looked at the land use plan? Well, I've been on the board for 22 years and I was not a part of the land use plan. I testified in the public hearings, but I was not on the board. So she challenged us to take a look at updating that plan, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So the original plan was released in 1994, and it had some major updates with a lot of public input in September of 2021. And then specifically what we're going to talk to today is the updated and additional information on June 10th. Obviously, in 22 years, new agenda items came up, new things, new thoughts. So I'm just going to briefly talk about the changes, additions, and corrections we made to that existing plan of 2021. So we separated the plan into principles of land use and land management policies, and I'll show you the index after I'm done here. But it's just there's things that don't change, and there's things that are policies and procedures that you guys put in place. So we kind of separated those out. We added additional
Federal lands, not
private,
just a
federal and state lands. Sorry, yes, that's what that's what the land use plan is all about. Is in fact, we changed the title of the plan to say exactly that. We added information on wildland fire responsibilities. We had legal or law, how to implement law on the lands. We didn't have anything for fire management, so we did get some language from Casey Hume on that. So UDC gave us 2-3 paragraphs that went into the plan. We added a policy section for political initiatives. A lot of the language came from your resolution 2021-3, which is the 30 by you opposing the 30 by 30, but there was lots of other language, and Jeff really helped write that section for us because he writes most of your letters. So we added the policy on no net loss of private lands. That was not in the land use plan for whatever reason, so it is now. There's a whole section on it. We added travel management and rights of way policy language. In the original plan in the 2021, we had an access policy, but we added those other two because there's a lot going on with travel management coming from the BLM today. We added a policy section on wild horse management, most of which was taken off your letter of April 27th, 2021, where you supported the gather. Most of the information came from the points that you guys made on that letter. We added language for the wolf reintroduction. There was nothing about wolves in the original wildlife section that we had in the plan. We added policy language for soils conservation. We had vegetation listed in there. We had nothing really on soils. So a lot of what we added was things that the soil conservation added to the planning process. We utilized that as the start to say, these are the things that we'd like to see or should see. We added the 2001 plan as an appendix into the so it's like appendix C of the plan. There was a lot of general cleanup of language and projects that are complete or studies that were outdated. A lot of the 94 stuff got carried into the 2001 stuff without being changed, while a 30-year-old study or plan has kind of lived its purpose, or things have changed. And then we moved the mission statement to the cover page of the plan document. Can you just show the next page, Aaron? So the,
Back one
oh,
second.
can you back up one or is there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just want to talk about the change. Yeah. So Moffett, so we've titled this Moffett County's Federal and State Land Use Plan to make, so we're not talking about private lands. We're talking about how you guys interact with the state and federal folks. And then we put the mission statement on the front page. It's really not a part of the plan itself, but it's a part of the mission of the land use plan, so. And then just on the table of contents, we reordered the table of contents. So we talked about, the principles of the principles of the land use plan, county authority and cooperating agency status, custom and culture and law enforcement and wildland fire responsibilities. We thought those were really principles, and then land management policies. There's a section on agriculture. We added a section on political initiatives. There's cultural and archaeological resources. There's multiple use. There's a section on mineral and industry. There's the no net loss of private lands, which came from your 2024-46 resolution that you adopted. Noxious weeds and invasive species, recreation and tourism, socioeconomic and economic viability. And we updated that whole section with some of the latest information that you guys have received. We added travel management and rights of way into the access, and combined them all into one. The water resources, there's a section on the wild horse management. We added the wolves, obviously, to the wildlife management. We added the soils and created the soils and vegetation and soils. And then one of the things that was missing was there's no signature page for you guys to adopt this plan. There was none in the other two documents, so there is one today. And based on multiple meetings and lots of discussion, we would ask that you adopt and sign the land use plan that we've submitted. Would you like to say anything?
I would add a couple little things. What's in front of you today is a result of many land use board meetings back and forth on these topics, and the board over the last several months has what do I want to say? Spent tons of time discussing this and came up with the recommendation in front of you. So there's a tremendous amount of land use board time in it for the recommendation. John Miller is our other land use board member that's sitting here today.
Steve spent his entire winter vacation working on this.
And that is very true. That's what I was going to say. Even though the board provided months of input, Steve was the guy that put the pencil to paper, and Steve literally brought renditions back and forth to the land use board multiple times. And a full-time job for a while for him. So I just want to express some appreciation for the amount of work Steve put into herding all the cats to get this in front of you. If you have any questions about it, we can answer those.
Appreciate all the hard work.
Any questions?
I will say there's nothing in there that would be a surprise to you at all. Almost every new change came from a resolution or a position that the board's already taken on the topics.
I appreciate the work as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
The board's pleasure.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve and adopt Moffett County's federal and state land use plan.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we'll move to Office of Development Services. Candace? No?
Neil Binder change.
We're not gonna have Neil help you out with that. So Neil will be replaced. Kyler will be presenting his own
Yeah, good morning.
watering bid.
I'm Kyler Scott, representing Neil and the fairgrounds. We put out a bid to replace the livestock watering system in the back pins. And we got 5 different contractors to submit us with bids, so I'm just suggesting that we go with the low bid, which was CRC Construction, call Camblin. So I would just recommend that's who we go with. He seemed more than qualified, and yeah, was also the low bidder on the project.
Quite a few bids there.
There was quite a
Pretty
few.
good.
Yeah. We had a lot of, the pre-bid meeting was well attended as well, obviously, so, yeah. But,
Is that under budget?
yeah. Well, no, it was not on my budget, but we moved the money that we saved on purchasing some equipment.
But what'd you have budgeted for it? Is this under what you thought it
Yeah.
would be, or is it above it, or?
No, it was under.
Oh.
Yep. I think there was around 70,000 that, we saved with moving stuff around, so. That's why we decided to kind of go ahead with it this year. The current water tanks that we have back there are the old concrete ones that have been there for probably 30 to 40 years. The one kind of leaks, and so, yeah.
Just drying up a lake.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid recommendation for the fairgrounds livestock watering system to CRC in the amount of $44,233.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Don't call no change orders.
Right, yeah, no doubt. Thank you, guys.
Did get clarification from Roy that we could approve that contract at the same time he has reached out.
Yeah.
We could get started if we
Oh.
can get that done in between our now and our next meeting. If we have the approval to sign it, we can get that back from him in between, and we can get the project started sooner.
So I'll make a motion to approve the contract as well to CRC in the amount of $44,233.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
John Miller.
Jump right up there, didn't he?
Oh,
Didn't even tell him to come up, and then bam, there he is. I guess you might be a little excited about this deal, huh?
I've been working on this for a little bit. John Miller, Moffett County resident. I'm here this morning on behalf of Craig Skate Park Alliance, representing many families and young people in our community to formally request your support in the development of a world-class destination concrete skate park at Loudy Simpson. Our skate park will inspire many as a positive and inclusive outlet for the next generation of locals and visitors to get outside, connect, stay active, build friendships, to grow, and hopefully stay in our community for years to come. This proposal we put in front of you is a draft initially developed with some conversation with Neil Binder and Commissioner Booyer. This is a starting point to a partnership agreement that minimally pledges land at Loudy Simpson for the development of the skate park. Having dirt is really our first and most critical step to moving this project forward, and that will allow us to seek funding and donors for the project. With acquisition of planning dollars, which would be the next step, we estimate 250 to 300K based on some various conversations. We intend to handle all aspects of planning, community engagement, communications, fundraising, design and engineering, and selection of a skate park design build contractor. to get to the shovel-ready status of the bigger dollars. This initial planning phase, we would work with the Community Foundation of Northwest Colorado, who's our existing 501c3 fiscal sponsor. Once we get to shovel-ready funding, we expect this to be a $2 to $3 million project. We would then work with Moffett County Development Services as our fiscal agent for the construction phase of the project. And then we would work as the project management partner, consulting partner, to ensure the delivery of a high-quality product to the community. And then beyond the ribbon cutting, CSA's vision and role would evolve to be an ongoing partner in stewarding the facility with the community's values and relationship with the space. We're confident about this project. Out of 273 municipalities in Colorado, there are currently 197 public skate parks. So as one of Colorado's few remaining 25% of communities without a park, and as a Tier 1 underserved rural coal transition community, there is significant grant dollars available to fund a project like this. We're confident in the widespread popularity of action sports and the positive benefits that skate parks serve for communities and local economies across the state and around the world. Spoken with Matt at the town of Hayden. They just opened, or I don't know if it's officially open, but they just opened their new skate park. And so gotten to learn a lot from him as a pilot. And, you know, one big question that always comes up is, what about insurance? What he's expressed is that their policy, their general policy, didn't change at all in cost once the skate park was added. And, you know, typically we would have signage. It's really culturally understood that you skate it or ride at your own risk at a skate park, but we would have signage to recommend using helmet and protective gear and etiquette and that sort of thing. We think Loudy's the best fit. After years of research and feedback, we're confident that Loudy's the best location for this project as a multiple use sports, outdoor rec, and events venue. But also skate parks can be kind of noisy with boards flying around, and it's a very energetic space. We don't think it would be a good idea to build it in a residential zone. So that's another reason why we think Loudy would be a good space. Specifically, we're looking at the land on one of the decommissioned softball fields, ideally the one closest to the gate so that the kids have access to the park even when the gate is closed in the winter months. Also, Loudy is a great idea because there's existing parking and bathrooms and infrastructure that we wouldn't need to develop in addition to the park. This is a durable and virtually maintenance-free facility. The reason for concrete is not only the high-quality user experience, it's safer, deteriorates much slower, and with our climate and weather conditions, you know, essentially it's concrete. You know, it might need some joint sealed or some grout fixes, you know, in 5 to 10 years, but it's always pretty minimal. And we've seen many parks in the state, you know, live through many years of weather and abuse for the last 25 years now. And like the Denver skate park, obviously it's a milder climate, but, you know, I've kind of seen that go. You know, so there's decades of kind of examples that we've seen throughout the state that have, you know, given us this confidence in a concrete skate park. We see this as a destination skate park. So really it's kind of like a bucket list, hopefully featuring a coal bucket as one of the terrain features. But something that's really unique and extraordinary that people would come from all over to experience this crazy place with a coal bucket. And also we want to create thematic terrain features that pay homage to our heritage, our ag and mining history, our public lands. So like imagine a Bears Ears looking feature with interpretive like QR codes where you could learn about the forest, the river, the BLM lands, you know, our natural history, our culture. So there's a a really good way to kind of bring the youth up to, with, you know, the way that, getting them in line with our culture and our lands and our people, our values. CDOT highway access is another conversation that comes up in regards to Loudy. We know this has been a long conversation with the river development and trails and more, you know, focus on Loudy. We think that the addition of the skate park lends more reasoning to why, you know, that trail access needs to finally get figured out. So we've had, and I just want to touch on the city of Craig. We've had dozens of conversations with our friends Ryan and Peter at the city over the last 4 years. We understand their bigger picture, and it's pretty clear that we're tertiary priority at best. We appreciate all the time and value their input and consideration they've given us. But also with the history of the skate park conversation, this community has made multiple efforts over the last 15 to 20 years to build a skate park, as well as the way the last park was removed without communication and promised a new skate park, and it was never fulfilled. We really have decided to pursue Loudy for all these reasons with clarity to ensure the appropriate level of focus and fundraising that we think we need to do this right. And that's it. We appreciate your consideration and look forward to kind of fleshing out the details of this MOU. This image that we're sharing on the screen is a very loose, rough visualization. It's not to scale or technically comprehensive or accurate, but it will kind of give you a vibe of the kind of thing that we'd like to see built in Loudy. And with that, if you guys have any questions, or we could.
Definitely looks different than the one in Hayden.
Yeah, this would probably be 2 or 3 times the size of Hayden's. But what's missing is the coal bucket and the dinosaur plates and the blue snake run, you know, the types of things that would make it really unique and really tell the story of our region and our culture.
I went through on Friday. There was kids at the one in Hayden.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty popular, and it's actually better than the 2 that they have in Steamboat. So there's actually a lot of people coming down Valley from Steamboat, which I think is a pretty neat, you know, change of dynamic. You know, I grew up in this town. I was one of 3 skateboarders in the late 80s, early 90s, and we always had to get on the bus and go all the way up to Steamboat to do these things. And you know, I made a comment in a recent roundtable of, you know, Steamboat produces, you know, it's like the #1 town that produces winter sports Olympians in the world. And I made the observation of, you know, when was the last time you heard about a kid from Craig go to the Olympics? And, you know, I think with skateboarding in the Olympics and, you know, the proliferation of, you know, this isn't just a hula hoop fad like it was in the 80s and 90s. It's truly global, widespread adopted, and you know, we really believe that it will be an amazing facility that the kids can be proud of, and you know, it's a new touch point for the kids to be engaged in their place and their culture, and in a new kind of fresh way that nobody's really done anything quite like this, and I think it'll really put Craig on the map in Moffett County in a unique, exciting way.
Just wanted to add something. So as John was talking about the impacts around the state and really around the world, there's many websites out there, but there's one called the Skate Park Speakeasy where you can go and find every single skate park, and it gives you all of their stats, I guess. And people go and they mark these, they have a bucket list to visit every skate park, and they go out of state, they go out of the country to say that they've been to all of these. So I think that the ultimate goal is to, you know, not just build a run-of-the-mill basic skate park, it's to build something that people really are, you know, they're traveling the distance to visit, which, you know, not only our skate park, but all of the other cool amenities that we have here. So
Candace came up with the bucket list term, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant, especially if we can have a coal bucket.
Right? So put this bucket on your list.
Thanks, Candace.
Perfect. Any other questions?
No, I think the next step is that our attorney starts here pretty quick. And that we sit down with him and see if we do decide to go forward with this, what's the best way to do it? Is it an MOU? Is it a contract? Is it a lease? I would hate to make a decision today that says, hey, we're gonna just jump into an MOU, and our attorney come back in a week and say, good idea, but that's not the best way. And so just to try to figure out that, I mean, I'm all for it. I think as much as we can have out at Loudy is the best. I mean, let's utilize what we have. But I want to make sure that we're not backtracking either in a month or something, that we do it. I think, when does our attorney start? 2 weeks, 23rd, so a week, 2 weeks. So that would just be my suggestion, is that we sit down and have a conversation, and then in the first maybe meeting in July, we could actually have a document to pull forward for them. So.
Well, that'd be a good deal for our young people. You know, I'm not saying, oh, jump on a skateboard.
Yeah.
Do that.
We'd like to see you try. Well, I was gonna say, it's for the young people and also the old people
yeah.
pretending to be young, like myself. And others.
I gotta go to work tomorrow, so I ain't getting on the skateboard.
Right.
Wouldn't that be something? Get a kid from Moffett County to go to the Olympics?
There's actually a young man who is the son of one of our people on our committee. I think Grady is 14 or 15. He's a phenomenal skateboard athlete, and you know, they travel all over the state for contests and such. And you know, I'd love to see this park get done before he graduates from high school. Something he can be proud of and tell his story from where he comes from. And so awesome. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
Nothing else on the agenda. We will call this one adjourned, and our next meeting will be Tuesday, June 24th, 2025 at 8:30 a.m.